Maya's a big filmmaker now.
Oh my
She
God,
premiered her
Maya,
film at a
tell us
festival.
what happened this weekend.
Well, we didn't win anything.
What?
But you're not bitter.
Huh?
But you're not bitter, right?
I had a wonderful time. They were really nice and really supportive and everything like that. We got some really great feedback about our film because this is the first time we've screened our film without people knowing what our process was. So we screened, this is like a first full stranger audience. Because everyone who's seen it is either a friend of us.
So what are you talking about? What was the
festival?
festival? What happened?
Well, this was in space. I went to space for a day. It's really difficult. That's why I'm so tired. So we went. It's a Trinity Film Festival. It is a student-run film festival held in Hartford, Connecticut, at Trinity College. And it's been this is the 4th year it's been running, and we were. One of the films out of 22 films that were screened at the festival, and it was nice. It was really interesting seeing our film on a really big screen, like the size of the Apollo screen. Probably bigger, but it's a smaller theater. Just there, and seeing our actors' big giant ass faces taking up the screen. But it was really fun meeting a bunch of filmmakers and But we came to the realization that we won't do any more smoking films because that is a student film trope. Number 1, smoking. Student film trope number 2, guns. Student film trope number 3, chickens.
Okay,
Don't know
what?
Why. Don't know why. There's a lot of animated films that came out of Rochester Institute of Technology that was just about chickens.
Maybe they're easy to animate?
They probably are just fun. One was called Titanic, and it was about these chickens that were on the Titanic. Titanic sinks. The Titanic sinks. All of them die, but then they came up in the grocery store as frozen chicken for $5.99 or whatever. And it was and it ends, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?"
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you're a famous director, everyone's gonna go back in the archives, find this interview about your first film.
God, this is when they're running for the Oscar and they find this clip. It's "Are you bitter?" And then they just pause. And they're Maya, bitter from Student Run Film Festival.
All right, ready and action.
I'm Maya.
I'm Rosie.
I'm Anna.
And we have our special Chickadee back
for more male perspective.
For popular demand.
Max the mansplainer.
There was a comment left that a viewer of us, a viewer, I guess, or a listener, really loved the male perspective and wanted more. So we brought him back for the most male action-packed film, The Avengers: Age of Ultron.
I just want to say I love you too, Mom. Thank you for commenting.
All right, so let's get to news.
Yep.
I'm which way I'm going to go? Okay, I'll start with Viola Davis is set to star as the famous abolitionist Harriet Tubman in an HBO TV film, which is based on the biography Bound for the Promised Land by historian Kate Clifford Larson, which tells about the story. Harriet Tubman was born a slave, helped free slaves, about 1,000 of them, up to Canada under the Underground Railroad. If you did not know about Harriet Tubman, I'm just our listeners may not. We might have some very young listeners.
And Oberlin has
Oberlin.
Underground Railroad.
Right.
Yeah, connections. So
this is awesome because I don't think there's never been a movie about Harriet Tubman before.
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
Even the white schools, they teach you about Harriet Tubman.
I know.
Yeah, they said they maybe have done some mini-series. I think they're trying to do mini-series about the Underground Railroad, but it's nothing about Harriet Tubman, which I almost think she should get her own Quentin Tarantino style film, which would just be action. Well, not in Quentin Tarantino, but just
I just want him to stay away from black people.
He won't, because
I know.
he is black, you know? if you did not know that, he is very black.
Breaking news from Chick Stick.
But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Harriet
that's great.
Tubman's a badass, and she helped people, and she, you know, this is awesome. And Viola Davis is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Great casting choice.
why do I keep doing this?
It's hot corners. Every time you go into the corner, it's going to do that.
Anyway, next topic.
Max.
I said Max.
Oh.
Like, I hate Max. But I'm
We all
using
hate Max.
because my fucking PC is not working. So I guess who wins out there? Anyway, next piece of news: Kristen Stewart has joined. I like this U.S. Today things joined the ever-growing list of female celebrities who have publicly called out sexism. So she said that for the Harper's Bazaar UK. She said, women inevitably have to work a little bit harder to be heard. Hollywood is disgustingly sexist. It's crazy. It's so offensive. It's crazy. So this is disgustingly, because I've heard sexist.
Right.
I've heard, just crazy sexist. But this is disgusting. This is,
Strong.
Gross.
Yeah.
But, I mean, water is wet. So, but, yeah, I just wanted to, talk about... because this is also within what Streep was talking about. She was in a panel that Jon Stewart hosted. It was Ava DuVernay, Meryl Streep. I forgot the last woman, but she's a famous Indian director, I think. And they were talking about women in Hollywood and the process. And Streep explained that she said women are able to empathize with men more easily than men are able to empathize with women, and so that's how, why. Wait, do you have to have something to say?
I just think that's preposterous. I think the only reason that is because we only hear from the male perspective, so it's just just indoctrinating.
But when women do have more films who go, I mean, of course, women see them, but men are dismiss them as chick flicks and dismiss them as...
Well, yeah, because men haven't grown up in a society where all they have to watch are men. Oh, they have grown up in a society where all they have to watch are men on the screen, so that's who we've learned to empathize with.
So, the motions of women are chick flicks. The motions of men, which I've seen a lot of them, from, The Hangover to, all these are not called dude flicks. Even The Expendables is, called, not even called a dude flick, which is, preposterous. It's so much a dude flick, but no one's oh, it's just some dude flick. It's just it's just a silly action film. That's so. But yeah, stop being sexist, Hollywood. Stop being racist. Also, there you go.
I'm not surprised Kristen Stewart said this. I get I love Kristen Stewart, and the persona I get from her is she doesn't give a fuck about making people feel comfortable or
because she doesn't care about mainstream things. She's
if she's not going to get cast in a movie because she said this, she doesn't care.
Yeah. So I
respect that.
Respect that. Next piece of news: Josh Trank. Who is I was Josh Tank. Josh Trank, who is the upcoming Fantastic Four director, has left the standalone Star Wars film. So this is not the Star Wars film that we know as J.J. Abrams' Star Wars.
Not
this
episode
is
7.
Not episode 7. This is the one that they're making with Felicity Jones, which we talked about, which is the heist film. The heist film. Oh my god, my stomach's growling.
Are you okay?
I'm good. And they said that the Hollywood Reporter has... said that it was a personal decision for him to leave. Yeah. But they've said that he's had a lot of erratic behavior on set.
On Fantastic Four set.
On the Fantastic Four set, and he's became very isolated sometimes, but also that he left several small dogs in a rented house in New Orleans while filming there, and this small dog somehow caused more than $100,000 worth of damage. And then, Vulture has, and in parentheses, what kind of dogs were they? So
I Vulture.
Yeah, Vulture's great.
So funny.
It's so funny. Yeah.
So it sounds like a bit of a kooky director.
Yeah.
He's an artiste.
He's probably an artiste.
But
He's
he's
31 years old. Oh my god. He's in the zygote of
Baby.
I'm an artiste. I'm this is just how I work. Yeah.
But to be for such a big film.
Blockbuster film.
Yeah. He did a Chronicle, if you knew the found footage film about the kids that
Oh, that was great.
With Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, that was a good film. With Michael B. Jordan was in that film, and they like find there's the hole, and they go into the hole and they develop like flying and superpowers. And then Andrew goes in and destroys everything. That's all you need to know. Okay. But it's cool. It was a really cool one.
It's a good dude bro movie.
It was a dude bro.
Punching your dude bros in the face. Because, bros.
Because bros. Good.
That's a
Got
thing
it.
that real men do.
So we have some Age of Ultron news. This is like the headline is so funny that I just like.
You should read the title.
So this is what Vulture has because Vulture is amazing and they supply a lot of our film.
Yes.
Avengers: Age of Ultron has 800 super people in it, but adding one Loki was just too much. So Loki filmed some scenes for Age of Ultron, but then Josh cut it out saying... Josh, fucking Josh. Whedon said in this quote, we did shoot something, but it didn't play. The movie has so much. It's so filled. We didn't want it to feel overstuffed. I really wanted to have Loki in it, but I understood the decision that there were now too many voices in the chorus.
Oh, so it sounds like Josh wanted to keep Loki in, but people were like, no.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Yeah. And he was like, all right, I'll cut out Loki and then it won't be overstuffed.
I think the best part would have seen Loki. I actually wanted to see Loki. I was waiting
I just kind of forgot. I was like, did he die? I was just like, I couldn't remember.
Thor thinks he's dead.
Because he did the, trick.
Right. That was in Thor 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see
There's
that.
too much going on.
Yeah, we'll save our real thoughts later.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to star in your crappy indie film. That's what it has. Thanks, Vulture.
That's the headline.
So he was on Entertainment Weekly Radio, and he said that he finds that being on the small budget films, really exhausting. They, are very unorganized, and they suck. and God, this is a really big thing. But he says, let's see. It's like you can just sit.
He gets pretty sassy in here. He says, the directors are like, oh, can you film on your birthday and the 4th of July and then come back on this? And then they
pay
say,
for craft services.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, man, when we go to Sundance, it's like, can you just sit in a chair and just sell this for 6 days in a row so that we'll make $180 when it opens in one theater? God, this is so powerful. What we're doing? What do you think of the movie? You saw it last night? I thought it was mediocre. Yeah, isn't it the greatest? Man, everyone's an artist in here. Actually, most of you are kind of inexperienced
and lame.
So fucking rude. I mean, talking about our Robert Downey Jr., who hasn't really made a good film since fucking
true.
Iron Man. Boom, calling you out. Let me call you out, fucking RJ. So, what are you talking about? You were in The Judge, and that was shitty. So, get out of here with your oh, I have to sell this inexperienced film when you're literally selling shitty mainstream films. Calling you out.
What it sounds like is he's like, I'm just too tired. If you're not gonna pay me and you're gonna make me work on.
Why do we want to? You want so much. We don't. I don't know. Why would? I hate when people are just like, I want Arch. I think he would be so perfect. I'm like, you have a budget of 58 cents. You can't be just getting people like that and then expect. I mean, I agree with him to that thing. You can't just expect people who are big superstars to help you out with these films. It helps you because they'll people producers will be interested, but also he doesn't have to be a dick about it.
Yeah,
because
he's RDJ.
Yeah, because he's
true.
It's pretty funny
because
though.
you don't make. Yeah, it's really funny, but he makes shitty films, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Bye. I'm sorry, I don't like him that much, so this is my feelings. Broad City writers are working on making a female version of 21 Jump Street, and with the writers Lucia Aniello and Paul W. Downs. So, yeah, it's just a spin-off with women in the lead.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
They should star Abby and Alana.
It should star Abby and Alana. I don't think it should... Yeah. Yes.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
I'm down. I'm down for that.
There was did you guys see The Heat?
Yes.
I like that film.
I like
yes,
the film.
good
If
film.
it's anything like that, but different.
But
Yeah, but
I'm fine with it even just being the same. I'm fine with them just collecting more.
Well,
Yeah.
to be honest, I thought The Heat sort of sold itself as a buddy cop movie, a dude bro movie, but with women, so come see me.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if this becomes... I would like to see this, just, you know, like, the fact that female star in it is no longer the news. I think that would be...
Yeah, I get that, but I also, like, see why that's, like, the selling point at this point, because there are so few movies like this with women starring in it that they're like, there's women in it, and I'm like, I am excited about that news.
Or about, like, or about the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Where, like, we're making a female Ghostbusters, but we're also making a companion male Ghostbusters again. With Gina
already
Gina.
exists. Oh my god.
So women can't have nothing. I bet right after this they'll be like, 23rd Jump Street's
Yeah.
coming out.
Definitely.
what are the odds? And it started Gina.
God.
So, but yeah, I'm excited. I like the Broad City writers, and I think they'll do a good job. And I think it'll definitely be different. And if Ice Cube can come back, I would like that too.
It reminds me of that episode of Broad City where Abby and a lot of her tend to be college students, and they go get the air conditioner from their college dorm. That'd be like that, I hope.
Okay, so we're done with news for today. Do you want
Time for box office?
Yeah, let's do some box office.
Box
office. Box office. And
What is happening? What's going on?
I've been in New England, and they just like this guy was like,
The champagne.
The champagne of New England,
the
Connecticut.
champagne of New England. That was a reference to. Sorry, we had a
we
fun
drank
part.
a lot of Miller Lite.
Miller High Life, and I just kept making jokes about Miller
champagne
High
of
champagne of
beers.
beers, and just like
Didn't
weird
Dan
things.
say that?
Well, it just says champagne of beers.
Oh,
on
it says it on there. Okay.
So I just kept making jokes, like everything, like if you're celebrating a birth, and then it's just like, oh, birth. When did you have a Miller High Life? The champagne of beers, and I just kept going like through the night, and so I was hoping that you and Daniel and Marissa would be like, yes.
Yeah.
So let's do some.
Let's do some box office. Okay, wait. What's GarageBand telling me? Error.
Uh-oh.
I think we stopped. Oh no, we're still recording. All right, here we go to box office. So, no surprise that number one slot this weekend,
Damn.
Avengers: Age of Ultron, with the weekend gross of 187 million. That's million, right?
Yeah.
Damn, 656,000. Is that real? What?
Yeah.
Are they counting foreign?
It actually made less than the first film made on the opening weekend.
Oh, that I can see.
The first one made 207.
Yeah, that makes
Same
sense to
weekend.
me, actually. But,
What's the international?
so international, let's check it out.
Bazillions.
Plus foreign. So worldwide, adding in foreign, we've got 527,656,000. So holy shit, that's a lot of money. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't need to do your crappy indie film.
They already made
Raking
all
in
the
that
money
cash.
back and everything. Just
They
like
made their
everything.
budget back.
Made their budget back immediately.
Wow. Okay, so coming in after that is Age of Adeline with 6 million. It's a little less. And then Furious 7, number 3, still hanging in there. Also at 6.1 million mark. Number 4, Paul Blart Blop Plop. 5.5 million, dropping 62%. And, oh my god, I can't believe it's still in top 5. Number 5 is Home.
Still going!
Still going, which is, I guess there's not a lot of kids' movies out right now.
Yeah, there's nothing.
So, take them to Home. But,
Avengers.
okay.
There were a lot of kids in the theater when I watched
Yeah.
it.
Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah. So, I can't do it. So that's your top 5 for box office. Avengers crushing it, no surprise. And then upcoming films, we've got coming soon, I Am Big Bird, the Carol Spinney story. Is that a documentary about the guy that plays Big Bird?
If it's not,
If it's not, it's very misleading, yeah. Very misleading. So that's coming up. Hot Pursuit, is this another buddy cop female movie with Reese Witherspoon and Sofia Vergara?
Yes.
All right, and then Brave Town, Josh Duhamel and Laura Dern. This looks dramatic and patriotic. Maggie.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger and Abigail Breslin.
oh, it's gonna be great.
Okay, is that a horror movie?
It looks like a
Dark.
It's dark. Look at that.
Look at that poster. And
Relax.
that's about. We don't need to go into more things
At
coming
the
up.
Apollo.
Oh, what's coming at the Apollo? I don't know.
Ex Machina. So While We're Young is here with Age of Ultron. But
The
While
Ben
We're
Stiller
Young,
movie.
yeah. But While We're Young is going to be out, and Ex Machina is going to be in.
And what's that?
And that's the Oscar Isaac and Paul Gleason son. It's about an inventor, a guy who goes to an inventor's house, and he goes into his house. And you remember
The
that?
Android.
Yeah, the
lady
Android movie.
That looks so creepy.
It does look
see it.
creepy. It looks
I
good.
I don't.
I've heard good
Guys,
things
I don't
about
do
it.
horror movies. Like,
I didn't think it looked like
It's like a
horror.
thriller.
Yeah.
okay.
The only thing about that movie is immediately.
Didn't you describe it as like horror? Didn't you say your friend was like? Yeah,
She was like,
it was
It's not a horror, it's a comedy.
It's like a thriller.
It's a musical.
It's a musical.
Shut up. I don't trust any of you.
But the thing about that trailer, though, it does look good. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, why does this robot need breasts? Like, what's the point of that? What's the function of her breasts? Yeah. What's
She was
the,
like touching them.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is like the computer function?
Everyone was like weird out. I feel like everyone in the theater was like, "What is going on?" And all these little kids like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. All right, so that's it for box office and coming soon.
Yes. So now we have
Trailer
Trash
Trash
Talk. So I saw this on Tumblr from MTV, and I just said, like, why the fuck not? This is a teaser trailer for Vin Diesel's movie. I don't know when it's coming out. Soon, I hope. October 23rd, called The Last Witch Hunter, which also stars Elijah Wood, Michael Caine, and Rose Leslie. So,
All right,
let's
check
not
it out.
start it yet. Let's do like a countdown or
Oh
something.
yeah. All right, listeners, find the link, cue it up, pause it if you need to. Maya's about to start it in 3, 2, 1, play. It's the Twilight Summit.
Twilight.
Summit, and then there's a
Ooh,
picture of
that's
mountain.
pretty.
Hobbits.
It's the hobbits.
And I've written my fair share of it.
Oh.
Is that?
Is that? Yeah, it is
I said
Michael Caine.
Caine.
I didn't hear you. I love Michael Caine.
Shit's about to go down, Vin Diesel.
Did he slim down? He's so
Yeah,
fat
he
in
looks-
Fury 7.
Yeah, he was kind of fun.
Of the accent.
Oh, look at his V-neck. Oh my
His
god.
face is just like he's always
No,
confused.
he's so fat.
Oh my god.
And the next.
Is it snowing
It's
indoors?
not what I thought this movie was going to be. I don't know what I thought.
I love the font.
Ryan asked.
Well, hello, witch hunter.
What? Butterflies!
There's always butterflies.
What you can never understand. You will be hunted.
The lines are so bad in this movie that they can't even find good ones for the trailer.
Why is Michael Caine doing this? Hashtag accent cross. Hashtag Alaska Witch Hunter.
I bet Michael Caine was like in one. I bet Michael Caine filmed one scene for that movie, and they're like put it in the trailer.
It makes it seem more legit.
Yeah.
So, Chickadee Max, what do you think about it from male perspective?
I think the best Vin Diesel movie was Pitch Dark.
I was going to
Pitch
say The Pacifier.
Black. Yeah, maybe some chick flick movie, but but Vin Diesel is at his best when he never opens his mouth.
Did he play a movie where he was silent? Was it what was the films that he did a sequel to?
Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh,
one I
that
was
one.
talking
So
about.
he was
Yeah.
silent in that film.
He just sort of did his like growling voice like every so often, but like you couldn't see his eyes. There was nothing. He was like swinging his arms around a lot.
Yo, I'm not sure if we're recording. All right, we're recording again.
Hey, welcome to Chicks and Flicks. And we're back.
Alright.
And Chickadee Max was talking about his perspectives on Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like. I don't really see him as an actor. I mean, like as much as an actor is say like Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yeah.
or anyone like that. So I I think it's going to be terrible. If he has a major speaking part, I probably won't see it.
Furious 7 is the only exception you'll make.
Yes. Well, but okay. So in Pitch Black or Pitch Dark or whatever this Chronicles of Riddick movie was, I think the big thing for me was there's a scene where he's like tied to a pole or something, and he actually, there's a scene his hands are tied behind his back, and he brings his hands up over his shoulders, and in the process, he was so muscular, he dislocated his shoulders.
Whoa.
Doing this, and then popped them back in as he brings his arms over his head.
I can see why we'd put that guy in the movies.
Yeah, but now he can't even get his arms over his stomach, so I don't know.
Whoa!
He's so big. Sorry, I
I
don't understand. I don't see him as very compelling. He's not a very relatable dude bro anymore.
You want me to... You know what's
Too
really
muscly
interesting?
for you?
Yeah.
He's not muscly.
It's really interesting. I found this thing about we were talking about casting in Prague. In Prague, we were talking about casting.
Oh, in Prague.
And
Film school.
film school. And we were talking about how Vin Diesel, because there was parts people did not know how to categorize him because he is a person of color. If no one knew about that, I think his father's black or something like that. But
Or he
He passes.
or doesn't know his but he has African American descent, and he so that people couldn't categorize him in the films, so he had to make a film to put himself where everyone was like, oh, so he made a film.
Was that an injury or an arc or something? Because I think I read that.
Yeah, I forgot. It was it came out or something where he made something. He had to create himself an own part, and that's how he got really big. As he made himself this is what I want to play, and that's he's played action films.
He's an interesting person.
He's an interesting person, but
I don't
He's
think he's
not
an
a great
actor. He's
actor,
not an
no.
actor. I think Pacifier was one of the best films he's ever
Was he
made.
a bouncer or a boxer or something?
I think it was a bouncer.
Bouncer, yeah.
Sounds bouncer. Bouncer sounds
Bouncer.
right.
That I would believe. I mean, he's a scary looking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's but Pacifier, best movie, 5 stars, 5 out of 5. He was a babysitter, but he also cared about the children. And he was
I hope you care about the
Seriously,
children if
I've
you're a
never heard you talk
babysitter.
about the Pacifier, so I don't know how serious we're being right now.
I saw that I was very young, and it touched my heart very much.
All right, fair enough.
Shall we move on to
Wait.
Roger's like, okay.
See, wait, skip.
No,
Sorry,
we
we get
get that.
copyrighted.
Can we get dramatic music behind that?
Yeah.
For the
Here's for
you have to layer this now.
I'll mix it.
Yes, please.
Ultron.
So for those of you who couldn't understand that, we are reviewing Avengers.
Action movie language. Don't anyone.
So let me translate for all the non-action movie fluent people out there. We're reviewing Avengers: Age of Ultron today. Enunciate.
Action movie film scores.
Put it on the resume.
Yeah, I'll put it on the resume. Can I speak my review an action movie film score?
Yeah. Please do.
Wah.
Are we gonna let Rosie?
Give a synopsis?
Yes,
Yes.
before I give my review in action movie.
What? When Tony Stark jumpstarts a dormant peacekeeping program, things go terribly awry, forcing him, Thor, the Incredible Hulk, and the rest of the Avengers to reassemble. As the fate of Earth hangs in the balance, the team is put to the ultimate test as they battle Ultron, a technological terror hell-bent on human extinction. Along the way, they encounter two mysterious and powerful newcomers, Pietro and Wanda Maximoff.
I didn't even hear their names in the film. I was like, oh, they have names.
The
She
twins.
calls
Yeah,
him
the twins.
Pietro. I did not
Okay.
know Wanda.
But
Wanda?
I don't think he says her name.
Yeah. So it's the Avengers sequel. Hey!
Hey, we finally did it. We finally made it. All these
To the end of the
films.
year, yeah.
Seriously,
3
when
years.
the last one came out, we were like, oh my god, when the next one comes out, we're going to be graduating from college. And
shit.
now we are. We have our last week of classes next week.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
All right, so before we start crying, someone want to
Sorry.
jump in with
I
a
just-
review?
It's where my head is.
Yeah.
Weird.
Who wants to go first?
You want to do it?
Yeah, Maya, you
Oh my
have
god.
Go in a row.
Okay, you don't have to.
I'll go.
Alright, you got
That's the Hans Zimmer dialect of action film.
I'm sending this to Hans.
So, yes, send it down. Let's see. Well, it's an Avengers film, and everyone did stuff.
Maybe I should go first. You start with me and then get to you.
I'm tired.
All right, I'll go. So I didn't hate this film.
Yes.
Do you want me to go?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a good way to start.
It was disappointing to me, I'll say. While I was watching it, actually, I was, like, really trying to give it the benefit of the doubt as much as I could. I was like, there was a lot of things I noticed that were good, so maybe I'll start with those. I really liked the way that they did the villain in this movie, the way he, like, was introduced, because he's, like, a computer program sort of type thing, and so the way we meet him is you start with, like, a blank screen, and then, like, he opens his eyes, and you gain consciousness, like, with him. And, and I thought that was, like, really cool. And, like, something I rarely see in action or superhero movies, that kind of, like, complexity of being inside a character's head, like, waking up with him. So that was neat. There was a lot of jokes. Some of them were really funny, and some of them landed. I thought the acting was good. All the actors definitely seemed comfortable with each other now. You could, like, feel their chemistry with each other when they're, like, joking with each other on screen. So that helped a lot of the jokes land, and some of them didn't land as much, and there were too many jokes. I just, like, I was, like, laughing, and then, like, 2 seconds later, there's another joke, and that's kind of, like, a rule of a comedy movie. Like, you go every 2 minutes, there, like, has to be a joke, because, like, it's a comedy, so it felt like a comedy to me, which maybe is what they were going for, but not what I wanted it to be, because it took away from, like, the gravity, I feel like, of the plot and of the seriousness of this film. And also because eventually I could just feel them, like, being, like, telling me, like, laugh, 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 and I was like, it's getting exhausting, I'm getting tired of laughing. So even though a lot of the jokes were funny, I wish that there had been less of them. There wasn't very much character development as there was in the first movie. The first movie, there was, like, a lot of, like, I feel like, or not a lot, but there's, like, a lot of, like, how are these Avengers going to interact with each other? How are they going to, like, learn from each other? And, like, not so much in this, which I understand because we set that up in the first movie, but the stuff they did do with the characters was, like, super weird. They had, I don't know, are we going to do spoilers?
Yes.
Spoilers. Spoiler alert. I'll put it on the episode title. Spoiler warning. So they have Black Widow and Hulk, like, get together, and they have this, like, supposedly epic romance in this film, which is super weird because they did not set that up at all in any of the other movies. And at the beginning of those movies, suddenly they were, like, all at a party, and then they're like, oh, Bruce, like, Natasha likes you. She likes you, man. And I was like, what? And those actors don't have chemistry together. When they finally kiss, I was like, why? It's so awkward. So I didn't like that. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was, like, a clever movie. Another thing I liked was the whole movie you think Hawkeye is going to die because it was released before that someone in this movie is going to die, and people were like, oh, it's probably going to be Hawkeye. The whole movie, we're getting closer to Hawkeye. We learn about his family. We stay with him. He's, like, a much bigger character than he was in the first movie, and you're like, oh, he's definitely going to die because Joss Whedon, like, would do that. And then, at the very end, you think Hawkeye's been hit, and you're like, here it is. Here's his death. And then, nope, turns out Aaron Johnson as Quicksilver, that's his name, saved him with a car, and Quicksilver's the one that dies, and then he's like, oh, you didn't see that coming, and I just, like, felt Joss Whedon talking to me, the audience, through that line, and I felt, like, connected, and I thought that was clever, so I liked that a lot. Even if it didn't have the emotional resonance, maybe, as some of you might say. So it was a very clever movie. It wasn't a very emotional movie or, like, character-driven movie. I think it was, like, well made. You can tell. I was thinking about the script.
It wasn't a Furious 7.
No, it wasn't a Furious 7. The dialogue was clever.
It wasn't a family.
It wasn't a family. The dialogue was clever, but there was no family. So I was thinking about the script a lot while I was watching. I was like, this is a really clever script because it is pretty complicated, and he more or less makes it all come together. So thinking of it, like, from a script writer point of view, I was like, you can really see Joss Whedon's talent as a writer through this movie. So I appreciated that, but I think it lacked the emotional resonance. So I'm going to give it a C because it's an Avengers movie and it's a good movie, but not as good as the first one.
Yep, starts off our summer season.
Yeah. Nice. Or should we go down the line?
Should we wait for the male perspective at the end?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, yeah. I want to react to everyone.
All right, and then we just say, okay, guys, it's the end of Chicks and
Wait.
wait. If you guys want a male perspective, that's not a video. Rosie,
Start my own
you go.
podcast.
Anna kind of said everything.
I'm sorry. We've also talked about it together a lot.
Yeah. We did all the way to your place.
Yeah, we did. I thought the movie was fine. I think it was I was destined to feel let down because I like the first Avengers so much. And I read a review that was saying, like, a lot of the things that worked so well for the first Avengers kind of turned around, and, like, that was what didn't work specifically in the second movie. And I think we talked about the fact that, like, it kind of seems like Joss just got a lot of notes where they were like, be more Jossy. And it was just so apparent and so to the point that it was annoying. And it felt like, a lot of the comedic stuff felt like Joss was speaking to you through every single character. And, like, he wasn't making the jokes like tailored to the characters. It just kind of felt like, oh yeah, everyone's a jokester. We're all hilarious. So I mean, I still laughed for some of them. I thought that the first part of the movie, like, I just didn't really enjoy. I thought that I wish that they had opened with a different scene. I thought that going straight into an action sequence just kind of, it didn't feel earned enough, which is kind of weird. But, like, you know, when you get to that epic battle scene in Avengers, it's like, yes, they're coming together, they're assembling, like, and you've been waiting for it, and they finally do it, and it, like, really feels like this triumphant moment. Whereas this just, and I understand that, like, this is like a sequel, so they're already together, and, like, I liked the fact that it showed them working together and how they operate as a team, especially like, you know, using like the comms and stuff. That was really cool. But it just, like, I don't know, I needed to be built up a little bit and I didn't like it stylistically. I didn't like the scene. And we've all talked about how it felt like a video game, and I actually thought they were in a simulation. Like, and then it was like, I would actually liked that. I would have liked it if it were a simulation. That would have been really cool. But and the characterization stuff, like, I understand that Joss had a very, very tall order, and just, like, it's really difficult to bring so many characters together, and to give them all a little bits of characterization. And I think the one way that they did that well was with the flashbacks, and, like, to kind of help us understand what's going on in their heads at the moment, what they're dealing with. And, like, I especially liked Natasha's flashback, except for how they used that with her and Bruce, which is, like, my least favorite line in the entire movie. It pissed me off so much. When she's talking about how to graduate from, like, the Red Room, she had to, they all get sterilized. And so she's like, says to Bruce, she's like, oh, I guess you're not the only monster here. And I was just like, oh my god, what the fuck, Joss? Like, on the one hand, I understand why someone would feel like that if they can't have kids, but to have it be, like, first of all, Natasha, and, like, second of all, like, she's the only woman in the whole group, and you give her a shitty romantic plotline that came out of fucking nowhere, and then have her say she's a monster for not having kids, and have it be, like, so focused on that, where it just, maybe if it were part of her character, like, if we'd seen it before, but it almost felt like she was, like, Joss was pulling a Twilight, where you never get any indication at all that, what's her name?
Natasha?
No, in Twilight.
Oh, Bella?
Yeah, Bella. You never get any indication that Bella cares about kids, or, like, whatever. She's just not interested, because she's so focused on Edward, but, like, and then suddenly in, like, the third book, or the fourth book, or whatever, it's like, I want a baby, and then she gets pregnant, and it's, like, so focused on that, and you're like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, there's no inkling of that before. And I've been talking for a while.
There's a lot. It's a complicated movie.
I have a lot of thoughts. We can talk more.
See where to skip though.
I would say, I don't know, if you like action movies, like, go see it. But otherwise, I would wait.
All right. So I agree with what everyone was saying. I thought that the film was okay. Like, I thought it was, like, good. I felt, felt satisfied in a weird way, but then also I read this review from this Entertainment Weekly article of this about how you feel so overstuffed, like, but not good about, like, you just don't know what to do with that. Like, and then someone saying, I think they also said there's so many stakes, but there's no stakes at all, like, within the film, and like how, like, everything can end, but then also nothing can end, like, like, it's just, like, I don't know, just like the way that it's sets up. Yeah, this film was just, I get really frustrated. This is why I've been telling everyone, it's like, I get really frustrated with superhero films that are very jokey when all the things in the materials are not jokey and they don't set it up as a comedy.
Yeah.
I was like saying how Guardians of the Galaxy worked for me because they set that up as a comedy and they said this is a comedy sci-fi, like, sci-fi comedy, and that's what it is. And and I was like, all right, great. I know the mindset I'm going in here. I'm not expecting something like coming out of it like, oh, like so profound or whatever. But like the Avengers, especially because Avengers takes place on, like, like Earth and everything like that, that it's supposed to be some seriousness. And when they're joking, and they're constantly joking, this is what ruined Iron Man 3 for me a lot, was just that they felt like they were just, like, laughing at the audience in a way, just like, joke, not hitting.
No, harsh.
Hit. Like, it's like, hit, not hit, hit. Like, it just, like, and just certain times it does, but we don't need a joke about, like, a running, like, there was, like, certain running gags that just didn't, were not
The
good.
language one got old.
The language one got old. Yeah. The one about Hawkeye's new skin was weird. Like, every time, they just talked about his new skin all the time. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no one cares about you. Like, why?
Yeah.
But, like,
the hammer joke was good, though.
Huh?
The hammer running joke, I liked.
The hammer running joke was
my
great.
favorite.
That was actually the greatest joke because I was always thinking, like, something out of a Thor. It was like, who can lift Thor hammer? But, yeah, I would say this is really, like, hard because I was just like, I've had all these thoughts. It's interesting about these films because when we saw the first Avengers, all the films before those Avengers were leading up to the Avengers, and that's how it is. But now, I think Jason was talking about, like, now these films are not leading up. It doesn't seem like after that fact, since they're so standalone films within themselves, since, like, Captain America 2 and, like, all these different ones seem so much standalone films, they're so great in themselves. Yeah. Coming up to Avengers 2 did not seem like, we're like, oh, we're putting them all together, but it doesn't seem like, we're not, like, waiting anymore for these films, like, for them to come together.
They forgot everything that happened in those movies. Like,
they forgot they didn't, like, mention, besides Captain America's, like, shield thing, but they still had people, like, in shield, like, it was a weird thing, but it's just, like, now, like, after this, I don't really feel like I'm intrigued to be like, let's bring the Avengers back again, unless they're going to bring something different and, like, bring something new to the table, which they are going to. It's just, like, now, but it's, like, now I'm ready for, like, oh, Captain America is going to start something new, and then the Avengers are going to start something, but, like, I'm ready for Captain America because it's my favorite, so I'm, like, ready for that. I think there's some things that were, overall, I felt like it was overstuffed. There was a Thor plot line where he goes into magical waters and comes out with, like, some stones. That was weird. The Bruce and fucking Natasha one was awful. Like, and I just felt like Natasha was resorted into a typical damsel in distress role and not the complex, nuanced character that she is. And I felt like I understand that she is more mortal than all the other characters because she can die from, like, a bullet wound than, like, a lot of, like, the other ones. But I felt like she was resorted so much that she never seemed like she was playing up because there was, like, the part where they just, like, drop her off and then she gets kidnapped by, Ultron and she just, like, gets dropped off in these places. Like, you need to be safe and kept safe and, like, I think once Hope became, like, sympathized really towards her, it just became her. She's, like, being taken care of, and I mean, maybe, Natasha wants to be taken care of because she's not, but I just, like, felt like it was just, there was, like, an emotional thing that I was not connecting within this film. What else? Everyone was, some of the writing was a little sloppy. I thought when they were talking about nuclear arms, the nuclear arm codes, they kept saying nukes, like, 5 times. We were talking about, they're like, oh, they like, he goes, why would someone want the nuclear arm? Like, what's Ultron going on the internet for?
Oh, yeah,
he
the
wants
internet.
codes.
He's using the
so
internet.
He wants to nuke people? And he goes, oh, yeah, like, he wants to nuke people, like, 5 times. I was like, what is this? We know what nuclear arm codes means. We know people want to leave, like, that people are gonna die, like, you know? Yeah.
Skip.
I'll say C. I think I'll say, like, it's towards the low C. I don't think, I'm not saying, like, it's, yeah, I'll say it's a low C, but it's not, it's a different kind of C, where I think you can see it, because it's, especially if you're important to the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if this is going to be relevant for the Marvel universe,
knows?
actually. Like, I don't even know anymore. So, like, see it, but I don't know, like, if it's going to be, like, I don't think you're going to walk out thinking, like, that was really amazing. And I think that it's, and I think it's just because I think it was inevitably, like, reading a lot of reviews, it seemed like that was going to inevitably happen, where, like, this was not going to set up, like, what we need. And there was, like, because they were trying to be bigger, and it's just, you know, doesn't work out.
All right. Should we let our Chickadee?
Yeah, I'm going to go
Jump
ahead
in.
and, like, pretty much disagree with what everyone has said. Interestingly, I left the theater feeling like I had a better time watching Age of Ultron than I did the original Avengers movie. And I've only seen the Avengers twice, and not recently. So maybe time has colored my perspective of it, but I felt like Avengers was all over the place, and it's all about getting the team together, and there's so much time spent, like, how are these characters going to play together, and not, like, I thought Loki was not a very compelling or interesting character or villain. I didn't feel like the threat to the world was real in any sense of the world, of the word. So, I read Ultron as a villain, except, and I've heard other people say this, except for his, like, rubber lips. I thought he was like, wait, there's the scene where he when he emerges from, you know, and he sort of, you know, beats up the Avengers in the Avengers Tower. He comes out and he's like this sort of Frankenstein robot, and he's like this tinny voice in a mask, you know, like a sort of skull-shaped robot face, and I thought that was, like, really terrifying. Cool. But then as he sort of evolves throughout the movie, he becomes more human-like, and he also, I mean, and that has its own sort of benefits and detractions. So it makes him much more of an interesting character, I guess, more human. But I also thought that made him sort of less terrifying as a villain, and the way that they animated his face looked really bizarre, weird. And took me out of that. But what you guys were saying before, I actually really liked the way that the Avengers in this movie they sort of seem to work as, like, a well-oiled machine, with the exception of the opening shot, the opening scene, which was disastrous in my opinion. But then I feel like I don't know. There are always sequences in these movies, in the Marvel movies, that I think, like, are just excessive and stupid. And this was one of them. So, and I don't know if it was the Apollo Theater, but that sequence in particular, there was no, like, the visuals were pretty interesting, there was a lot of fancy camera work and lots of stuff going on visually, but the sound mixing was so bad.
Yeah, it was hard to hear the lines.
I think it's Apollo, the big room, I think in general. We sat closer, which helped it a little bit, but it's like, that room in particular is not good for every action film. You're just like... that's interesting. So, but yes, there was, like, so there's supposed to be, like, explosions and people running around and Tony Stark is flying around shooting lasers at things. But there has to be, like, you know, and then the action goes quiet so someone can deliver a one-liner. Right. And that was, like, kind of lame, like, from my perspective. Let me see. I thought that the character development in this movie was interesting, compelling. Like, I hear what you guys are saying about, like, Natasha and Bruce Banner, in that it was sort of a little bit stuffed in there. But I liked the background that we got on Natasha.
I thought the introduction of the new characters, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, were both interesting. I thought, like, Scarlet Witch in particular, who's evidently, like, one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe, was really compelling. I thought some of the performances by, like, some of the older actors, or by older I mean, like, have been around the Marvel block for a while, and Robert Downey Jr. in particular have sort of felt a little bit forced.
Yeah, it kind of did.
So it's kind of like, I've sort of, like, Johnny Depp is sort of the paragon of this thing. They've become that character, and so we don't really expect anything new from them.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like, yeah, they're in character, and they're easily identifiable as, that's that's Iron Man, that's Captain America, that's Hawkeye. So that's good, and so you can watch the characters, and so I left the theater thinking, like, this was a good action movie, that I wasn't actually let down in any sort of way. The one thing I would say, though, is that you have to sort of bring a lot of knowledge about the Marvel Universe and the past films, particularly, I think, Winter Soldier, the second Captain America movie. Like, you have to know what happens to S.H.I.E.L.D., which I didn't know. But if you don't want to do that, there's a great 13-minute long video on TheVerge.com about the sort of history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it sort of pulls from all the films. And that's a great primer that I wish I had seen before going into the
Maybe I will watch that, because I definitely don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And this is another thing that I've heard a lot about, how this movie is really... it's sort of laying the foundations for future Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole, like, Civil War plot line.
Yeah, which is like...
So they have to introduce all these new characters to fill out the Marvel Universe.
What did you think of, like, the tone of the movie? The jokes, did they land for you?
Yeah. So I thought some of them landed. And then, others were sort of superfluous. I don't know. I guess it's kind of what I was expecting. So okay. I didn't feel like I was getting something different than what I had paid for.
But that was an interesting point, that, like, seeing this as a base movie rather than, like a filler, a culmination of something, because, like, that's what the first Avengers felt like, which is why I think I liked it so much, because it was like, oh, you've been leading up to this since 2008. Like, this is it. This is what we've been working towards. Right. Whereas this was kind of like, all right, now we have to build towards something else, and we're, like, almost starting the process over again.
Are they building towards Civil War, or are they building towards the Infinity? Yeah. They have that's not till, like, 2018, right? Yeah.
Well, I felt like...
It's only 3 years.
As far as, like, a self-contained plot, like, as a sort of serialized thing, I didn't feel like this was too bad. Like, I hated Iron Man 3, which was... No, that's not true. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, was the last Marvel movie I saw before this, which was pretty good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great standalone film. But Iron Man 3 I thought was terrible, and Iron Man 2 was even worse. So, I would say, if you're really... I feel like this is a pretty good entry in terms of... I think it's like... It punches higher than midweight in terms of, like, the Marvel Cinematic Canon.
So you're going to give it a C?
Actually, skip. I don't like it at all.
Actually, I would. Well, I mean, like, Oberlin listeners, if you're your only option is to see it at the Apollo, I might actually say wait. I don't. You're not, like, going to miss out by not seeing this movie. And I thought seeing it in the movie theater was actually pretty jarring. With, like, the sound mixing was really that bad.
I heard that the small, like, I talked to one friend who was like, I was like, you're going to see it in the small theater because of Rocky Horror, and he was like, I actually like the smaller theater because even though it's small, the sound is more enclosed, so you can hear everything, like, right, like, instead of the Apollo, which still has to work out, it's
big theater.
Like, I think the volume is just low. Like, I feel like they just, like, I'm like, can you just turn it up, like, just a little bit? Like, just, like,
Can I say one other thing that I actually liked about the film? Yeah. One of the things that I really hated about not hated, but was sort of irked me about the Avengers was, like, so there's this cataclysmic, galaxy reshaping battle in the middle of New York, right? And all these buildings are destroyed and whatever. And then after the climactic battle, everyone's celebrating in the streets, and they're talking about none of the damage that's done to the city or to the people. I thought that was very abstracted.
Yeah, to be fair, I feel like they do this in a lot of action movies that bothers me. But in Avengers, they do have a little montage of like rebuilding the city and like memorial, putting flowers down.
Okay,
but
to be sure. But I thought this Age of Ultron. I'm not going to spoil the climactic battle or anything. I know, but I don't want to. But there's the Ultron sort of end game strategy involves like a sort of it's like the trolley car like philosophical problem. You know, do you pull the lever and kill one person, or do you let the trolley roll down the street and kill 10 people or something? You know, and the Avengers have to decide. You know, it's of course, you know, they save the day, spoilers, but you know, they have to choose in the context of the movie whether they're going to save everyone in the city or risk destroying like the entire world. And so there's, you know, they actually have to do like damage control, and like they have to save everyday people. Yeah. And I like that.
I guess it just seems like when it's the stakes in those things, it's like I feel like with a lot of these superheroes movies that are coming up. I feel like there's like this change when, you know, people are like not liking these superhero films, especially because like, you know, you have them within like, there's some of them that don't seem like they like superheroes and they're like kind of like worried about them. And so when you have like, I feel like when they just like save the day, it's just like everything's better because they saw, I mean, it's nice that they saved humans and did not like destroy lots of people, like, you know, and not like mention it, but just like, I don't know, I felt like they could have done it and it would have been like really more compelling because they're like, this is the sacrifice they have to make as superheroes, like, you know, because now it's like all the stakes are like they're like so many stakes, and then it's like, well, we got all the people out, so like whatever, it's like, oh.
Sci-fi too.
Yeah,
that's why like bring like Torchwood into it.
Torchwood.
Like
Torchwood's really good.
Love Torchwood.
It complicates superheroes. Like if you have to
like thinking about morality, which was like a huge part of Winter Soldier, which they like then didn't.
I need to rewatch Winter Soldier. I forget about it. But all right, cool. I think we need to wrap up here.
Oh, for you, because
for me.
We wanted to wrap up.
Sorry, okay.
Up.
Do you guys want any last points on Avengers?
I wanted to say about Hawkeye. We didn't like talk about he had a background story and safe house, and we're all like, well.
so I was also taking notes on this film, but I didn't bring my notepad. And one of my notes, actually my last one, was Jeremy Renner's arms, LOL, because he didn't own a single shirt with sleeves in this movie, which I think is hilarious.
I felt worst.
Yeah.
I kind of bought it. I don't know why.
We're talking about sleeveless shirts or the...
I'm talking about the fact that Hawkeye has a hidden family that he's had this whole time.
What is it? Two things. Ultron's butt got progressively
the
better.
booty.
So well. I was like, why is his butt so good?
Wait, can we say what you...
I was going to say, the second thing is because... Rosie pointed out this weird, and all of a sudden everyone categorized this as weird. But when they were at the safe house...
No, we just said it was weirder than what I said.
Weirder with what she said. So these are the things. At the Avengers screening, Rosie goes and says to me when Captain America is punching the bags, when, you know, Samuel L. Jackson, whatever, Nick Fury comes to him, and she goes, I want to lick his biceps. And I was like, Rosie, that's gross.
and then I go,
yes, go.
So this is when they're at the safe house, and Tony and Steve are chopping some wood, and then Steve gets mad and he rips apart the block of wood with his hands, and then Maya goes, I want him to do that to me.
Oh, goodness.
He looks so good in that blue ab thing. He's not
the Under Armour shirt.
The Under Armour shirt.
I did appreciate the lack of like excessive ass shots of Natasha in this movie, and the overemphasis of like Steve and Tony chopping wood, and then Thor in the river.
Hawkeye's wife is like their god.
So I appreciated that.
So yeah.
Oh, I got one more thing that Maya said to me in the theater.
I was just thinking so many things.
I I don't. Maybe you said it, but they go, for some reason they're in Africa for their. They go to the city, and Maya's like, "This is the most black people that's ever been on screen in a Marvel movie."
The African coast. We don't know where they are.
They're like, I think they might have said it.
It's like Rwanda or something.
Wakanda.
But why didn't they say that?
And the thing, why did they say just?
Oh, they said
African
African shores.
coast? We were like, they could have said Wakanda, and we'd be like, Wakanda. Fancy, like, African country, weirdly placed in West Africa, maybe? Now
You're
it's
making it worse.
African coast? Where the fuck is that supposed to be? Like, I don't know where to place it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, so watching that movie with Maya and Rosie was a good time. All right. Last comments on Avengers?
No.
All right, cool. So coming up this week, Thursday, May 7th,
Late
10
night go
p.m.,
hard.
Cat in the Cream, Pisco's Arms Spring Sketch Comedy Show. What? It has to do with the fact that Maya and I wrote and performed sketches.
We have some appearances by movie characters.
Yes.
In the, so...
Yes.
Yes, so come and check it out.
Technically,
And Rosie's doing the lights. And if you want to help Rosie out with the lights, come please.
Do you not have someone?
I asked Edmund, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it or not.
Guys,
I'll find someone.
We'll find someone. We're
We're
finding
going to find someone. And then on Sunday at 8 p.m., there's going to be a screening of student films in Dye Lecture Hall of all the student work that's been happening in production classes this semester. If y'all want to check that out. Anything else going on? Clarity, hit it up. Alright. Cool. Well, I'm off to a concert. Bye.
Bye.